Hello, my name is Dale DuFay. I'm going to use this channel kind of for maybe for some grievances because I, I have one right now because I watched an expose last night on the Vice channel about, it was about cults and things like that, but they did a real good, it was like almost, I think it was 3 hours long about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, many of you might know, but if you don't know, I used to be one. And then it was thanks to the Mandela Effect that I got away from it. I actually officially got away with letters to the organization. Uh, you know, it was basically my way of getting out of it because I knew that they weren't going to have anything to do with the Mandela Effect. I gave them an opportunity to hear what I had to say. They wouldn't even give me an audience or anything because they're headquartered in New York, and I was willing to go there. But they wouldn't even touch it with a 10-foot pole. They thought I was being influenced by the devil and everything. But that expose last night just shocked me. I went through 3 stages, shock, and then embarrassment, and then anger. Now it turned out that, they were always, I was always oblivious in a sense that I thought that they were the one true religion. But of course, again, the Mandela Effect revealed to me that there is no such thing as one true religion. It took me almost a year to figure that out because that's how indoctrinated I was with that organization. But here it turns out that they have been holding back information about sexual abuse and pedophiles within practically, who knows, maybe every single congregation at one point at time. And they have thousands of congregations, tens of thousands. If I'm not mistaken, they have like 250,000 congregations throughout the world. And it's a very fast growing organization, and it has a lot of appeal to it. A lot of things are appealing, but that's their way apparently of getting you trapped in. But they might be a good organization as far as spiritual teachings and things like that. But if they're protecting and hiding pedophiles amongst their ranks, even the elders and circuit overseers and things like that, they've been protecting them and hiding, a victim in the organization has to confront the elders about it, and then they have to decide. It has to be 2 of them have to be witnesses to this alleged abuse, and of course that's never going to happen. So therefore the accused gets away scot-free and nothing's said about it because that's what their big concern is they don't want any of this to leak out because it looks bad on their organization. Well, duh. But the investigations are getting so deep. In fact, it's finally reached courts where they have to cough up this information because they actually kept track of all this information and kept it in secret files in every single congregation and the organization itself. They had secret files. Well, the courts in New York are demanding that they release those files, and they won't. And so they're getting fined $2,000 a day. And they already have paid over $2 million in these fines because they refuse to relinquish these records that show that there's pedophiles amongst them, and there's victims, sexual abuse victims among them, into tens of thousands. In fact, investigators in this expose were saying how they are even, once this is all revealed in a few years, it's going to turn out that they're going to eclipse any religious organization in this department, even the Catholic Church, which at least fessed up to it and held themselves responsible. But the Jehovah's Witness organization they are not even fessing up to it because, again, they preach that they're the one and only true religion and that they're only going to be the only survivors of Armageddon. I mean, That's why I got out of it. It's just there's too many things. Plus, I was disfellowshipped about 30 years ago, and I couldn't talk to my own family at all because they were Jehovah's Witnesses as well, or some of them, not my brother and my dad and stuff like that, but the ones that were my sisters, I couldn't even talk to them for 30 years. And that's Christian, really. And then they were, of course, bringing up the blood issue where you can't take blood, and many parishioners in that organization perished because of their ignorance in that department. And of course, they used the scriptures because it was always commanded not to drink blood, but they take that serious to the extent where that's intravenously as well, where it could save someone's life. But it was quite shocking, and I feel like I should talk about it and warn people, do not answer that door. I mean, I used to go door to door. I can't tell you how many thousands of hours I did that, and I hated it, but I thought it was, something that Jehovah wanted me to do, a good little Christian, so don't answer that door. They're the worst. When I was a part of it, getting back to this fellowshipping, I finally got reinstated because I wanted to talk to my sisters and my family. So I got my reinstated and did whatever it took to do that. Because if they do disfellowship you, you can always come back, but they have to deem you responsible enough to come back. But I did all that, and then I left on my own. So I'm glad that happened in that way, because it kind of a thumbed up, gives me a, F you to them in a sense, because I was disfellowshipped for 30 years, couldn't talk to my family for 30 years, got myself reinstated, and thought it was a great thing again. And then I just told myself, I can't cut it. This isn't for me, and I decided to leave. And especially after the Mandela Effect came around, and they didn't want to talk about it. Again, I sent letters after letter. They responded to the first two, but they quit responding to the ones after that. They didn't want to hear about the most incredible thing spiritually that's ever happened to humanity since the very beginning of creation. They don't want to hear about the Mandela Effect. They think it's Satan's work. And here it turns out all along that they are doing the devil's work. Here it turns out all along I wasn't in a true religion. I was in the worst religion on the face of the earth. Unbelievable. I'm still in a state of shock. That's why I got to do this video so I can talk about it. It's crazy. They're the worst. And then top of it all, they're using God's name on top of it. I mean, it's crazy. They are the worst religion on the face of the earth. There's certainly, of course if you listen to them and study the Bible and things with them, they'll tell you that all the other religions are the worst, and that they're what the Bible refers to as Babylon the Great, and they're going to go down in destruction, and leaving only Jehovah's people. I mean, their doctrines and dogma is outrageous, but various. A lot of it's appealing because they talk about living forever on a paradise earth and things like that. And there's a lot of things about them, like during World War II in Germany, they were the only religious organization that would not salute to Hitler or join the army or be inducted into the army during drafts or anything. So they were the first to be incarcerated in the concentration camps, even before the Jews. So there's many intriguing things about them, but that's just the front. And then, of course, a lot of the people involved are righteous and have good intent, but when they have the elders in each congregation conceal pedophiles and activity like that is concealed, and they even had them all. They even directed all the elders in every single congregation around the world to take all these reports and put them in a special blue envelope and send it to the organization. And all this stuff was filed and kept, records of, but kept very secret under lock and key, every congregation. So there were people ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that were going around and breaking into the kingdom halls and breaking into their files and getting and retrieving these, deep secrets that they are keeping. The worst thing that possibly could be sexual abuse against a child in the congregation. Some of them were 4 years old when that was happening. And some of them were being abused, not just only by church members, but church leaders. And it was all kept under. And this has been going on for decades. So they have once this all gets uncovered, it's going to be the biggest, most shocking thing that's happened to any religious organization on the face of the earth. They have tens of thousands of reports that should have been documented and sent to the police departments where the local congregations are. It should have been something that the police should have handled to put these pedophiles into jail and stop them from abusing other children. But that wasn't the case. They relied on Jehovah to take care of the issue and keep their organization clean, being that, the only religious organization on earth that doesn't do such things. And here they're the worst. They're guilty of incredible crimes. All this in the name of God. That's in the name of their religion. Think about that. Talk about using God's name in vain to the extreme. Wow. I mean, obviously you could tell by my voice that I'm still in a state of shock. I'm still embarrassed. I am still outraged. Those people, their day is going to come. Again, it's not the parishioners' fault. 90% or more of the Jehovah's Witnesses are totally oblivious to what's going on behind the scenes. Now, I was one of those. I would never have thought that was the case. And it's not just an isolated, sporadic case here and there. It's literally something that has happened at one point or another in every single congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses on the face of the earth. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of congregations. Almost 250,000. Unbelievable. In fact, I must have said wow during that 3-hour expose of that horrible religion I must have said wow about 1,000 times, or maybe more than that. I was shocked that this pristine, clean religion that uses the name of a God in their title, was the cleanest and the best. And of course, I've realized that they weren't the true one and only true religion, thanks to the Mandela Effect. But to find out that they are the complete opposite. They are the worst religion on the face of the earth, and thank God many of us had a break from those people, those Christian ministers that knock on your door and bother you and push their dogma and crap on you because of the pandemic. So, but that must have really hurt them. And I haven't seen, the Kingdom Halls have all been closed down. I don't know if they've opened any of those yet. But they must be feeling the pinch from this. And then, of course, paying that $2,000 daily fine to the courts in New York State is nothing to them. Believe me, that was one of the things I always kind of questioned. Why are they so immensely wealthy as an organization? They had buildings in downtown Manhattan that they sold a few years back, about 7 years ago. They sold them all for billions, millions of dollars, and opened up a brand new headquarters in upstate New York. And I almost worked there. I came inch from working there. And then the Mandela Effect came along, thank God. But they have money like you wouldn't believe. That $2 million of fines to the courts, which they claim they're still law-abiding citizens, but they're not. They're disobeying state court, circuit court orders. And this is going to be a really big bombshell when this all comes out. But getting back to their wealth. They have a phenomenal wealth because as an organization, they believe that someday the government's going to demand that they pay back taxes. So with that illusion in their mind that they had even 100 years ago, they've been saving money for that inevitability. Now, of course, that's not going to happen, but they did save that money. They did invest that huge amounts of money that they get from donations from all over the world. I remember the congregation I went to in Downers Grove, Illinois, and Naperville, Illinois. On a monthly basis, they would turn in over $1,000 just from, donations, a portion of the donations they received as a congregation. Now, of course, they kept enough to keep the congregation going, but the rest went to the organization, and it was always exceeded $1,000 every month, and that's just one congregation out of 250,000, and plus the individual donations that's sent into the organization. I used to give them $75 a month, and I couldn't afford it, but I did anyway because it was the right thing to do. And here I was just feeding into their wealth so they can defend themselves against the fact that they've been hiding pedophiles and poor victims of those pedophiles in their congregations for decades. Oh man, wait till this all comes out. But anyway, I feel a little better talking about it. I mean, I'm not saying get out of your religion or anything, because the fellowship is good. It was even the case with the Jehovah's Witnesses. The fellowship is good, as long as you didn't get disfellowshipped. As long as you didn't do something contrary to their demands and how you should be. I guess it was okay to be a pedophile, or it was okay to be a victim, but you couldn't prove it because they needed 2 elders to witness the fact that happened to you allegedly. None of that was turned over to the police. They kept it to themselves and thought that God would handle it. It's just absolutely atrocious. And like I said, just the Mandela Effect's revealing that religion is going to be a thing of the past. The vocabulary is going to even change. We won't even have the word religion in our vocabulary. It's because it's not necessary. Spirituality is built into human beings. We don't need organizations to tell us how to deal with the spirituality, which they have no clue what it's about. I mean, that's another thing that Jehovah's Witnesses teach, which I always question, is that we don't have a soul. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world, because the Mandela Effect is proving that that's what the most incredible thing in the universe is the human soul. I mean, we're the supreme creation of the supreme creator, human beings in the Milky Way galaxy. We're the pinnacle of creation. We don't need religious organizations to dump us with dogma and bull crap. Any of them, all of them. And here I was part of one that is, without a doubt, by far, by light years, the worst that has ever stepped foot on the face of these earths. The worst religious organization out there. And it's going to be found out soon. I can't even tell my sisters about it, because they're too indoctrinated and too entrenched that they won't even, they'll like cover their ears and go blah, 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 while I'm trying to tell them. So I'm not even going to try to bother. Their life is simple and happy, so let it be, I'm sure neither one of them were victims or obviously perpetrators of this horrible, horrible thing. That's things that are being covered by the organization as a whole. Shame on them. Shame on them. But anyway, thanks for letting me talk about this, even though it's not Mandela Effect related or anything. But this channel, this one with just my name, Dale DuFay, I'm going to keep it for kind of like this, situations like this. So, maybe more personal things, what I do for a living and things like that. So I'm going to keep it more personal. So maybe it's appropriate that I talk about this on this channel. So I appreciate you watching, and I thank you for watching. Love ya.